to back up everything I'm saying, and I'm through talking.
This gymnasium is packed. It is absolutely packed. Yeah.
Welcome to Alumni Talk. I'm Ricky Goins, the director of team operations for the league, the Alumni Basketball League. As you know, you can follow us on Instagram at ABL Balling on Instagram, at the ABL USA on Twitter. So, as we know, every week we have a former ball player or somebody close to the game on the show. This week we got the DC legend, Big Ten legend, Bernard Robertson on the show. How you doing, my guy?
What's going on, man? I'm doing good, hanging in there. How about yourself?
Good to see you, man. We got to know each other over the years, man. And I remember you. I was young back when you played. So, just to jump into it, like, just talk about, what started you playing basketball and what got, what got you in there.
My father got me going when I was 10 years old, and he really kind of broke the game down to me, and he was really a huge fan of the game. So, I started picking that ball up at 10 years old in Southeast DC, and went from there. Went up to Garfield Elementary School every day. It was right up the street from me, and I just kind of went from there.
You went to the legendary Dunbar High School. How'd you enter? That your neighborhood school or?
Nah, so that's a crazy story. It's not that crazy, but so the year before I went to Eastern High School and played half a year and then kind of quit because I transferred to Newport Prep, but didn't have the grades. So I sat out.
Wow.
Yeah, Newport Prep. I didn't have the grades to get into Newport Prep. So I had to finish that year off kind of not playing. That summer, though, I was already playing for DC Assault. And just developed a relationship with Choice Haynesworth, Brian Chase. And we really found that camaraderie on that court, on AAU. And so when it was time for high school to come around, my uncle, Butch Cherry, rest in peace, Butch Cherry.
I know your uncle, man. Definitely. He's a great guy, man.
Yeah, that's my uncle. Yep. He always was the one that was there for me in basketball and taking me to the AAU practices, et cetera, et cetera. That's how I got linked to DC Assault. And so he allowed me to live with him. He was living uptown off of Illinois Avenue. So I was able to live with him, and that allowed me to go to Dunbar.
So you get there and you play varsity 3 years, or 2 years, right?
I played for Dunbar 1 year.
Oh, wow.
My junior year, yeah. Yeah.
So, and then you transferred to?
I transferred to prep school, New Hampshire. Yeah.
I mean, that 1 year at Dunbar, you with Brian Chase, and from my research, that was the last time two NBA basketball players played on the same team in the DCIAA.
Wow.
You guys go, and at that time, the NHI was deep. You're talking about Coolidge, the head guys, and Cardoza and all those teams. So, talk about that year at Dunbar and from start to getting to that city title that you guys won.
Yeah. So the first thing that I recognized right off the back is that it was a basketball school. Entering into that school, you felt that energy, you felt them expectations, and so I loved that. It really got you into that mode, from the teachers to any of your schoolmates. They just always talking that game. Football too, don't get it twisted. But you recognize early on that it was a basketball school for sure. A lot of the alumni let me know what they expected. So I felt that energy early on. We already had that excitement. It was a lot of chatter and talk. Big time schools, got to forget, Anacostia was really good during that time. Spingarn was really good throughout. And so We had excellent coaches, Gary Lampkins, who was the coach then. And so I really felt myself really comfortable when I first walked into the school, which is really important. I felt accepted, comfortable. You got to remember, Brian Chasenon was already there. Me and Nunu had just transferred in. So BJ, he made us feel comfortable. Just the whole thing, it really felt good kind of off the jump. And we hit the ground running. We kind of played like a national schedule that year. And we kind of woke up after playing Rice in New York. Andre Bird, Kenny Satterfield, Kyle Covington, they handed it to us. And so it kind of woke us up like who we needed to be. And after that game, we turned everything around. We really hit the ground running, and we kind of understood what it took to be successful, to not only win in that inner high, but to be successful. We understood what successful meant, what hard work meant when we played up against them. And I tell them guys that all the time. I'm really close to Andre Bird, and I talk to him all the time about that. He let me know as well. Yeah, so kind of from that season, we just kept getting better and better. We kept getting closer and closer. You know, we fell into this family setting. By the time the playoffs started, we was ready to go. That inner high was so tough that we really felt like we had hit our stride by the time we had won the championship against Spingarn. We really felt like it didn't matter at that time who we played up against. We was going to give ourselves a chance. And I think that was really important, you know, when it came to when we went up against Gonzaga, which was a national powerhouse, knew how to play the game, knew how to work the clock. Things that usually get a team frustrated, we understood that game too. So it really helped us when it came to that championship game.
And when you guys went up against Gonzaga, they had like Pat Mitchell, I think, who was their best
Big
player.
Pat.
And you know, and Gonzaga, you know, they were pretty in that late '90s to mid 2000s. Like they were extremely solid. They were competing for championships. A lot of people understand like Gonzaga is with their history, it's not as illustrious on the championship side, but they really like started figuring out around that time. And you guys won by 1 point, right?
Yeah, last second shot.
What happened on that last play?
I hit a leaning one hand off the glass, you know, bank shot. Left about 6 seconds or so on the clock, and we was able to defend it on out and win. But like I said, it was a very low score. I think it was 45 to 47, something like
that, or 50 to 49,
something crazy like that. Yeah. So like I said, understanding that game, understanding that we could play up against any type of, you know, team really helped us during that time. We wasn't out there rushing. We understood what it meant at that time to have a good shot. And that takes a lot. People don't understand how something as small as that, when you got some thoroughbreds on the team, it takes a lot. And so I think that's what really won us the championship, the coaching from Gary Lampkins and them, not necessarily us as a talent. Got us that chip, yeah.
So what went into your decision to leave Dunbar?
I had to. I was above age to play in the inner high. So I had to leave. I didn't want to. I appealed it and everything, but I just was above the age. So I had to get up out of there. And like I said, actually I stayed back early on, like as a youth. And so that took me out of that age bracket to be able to play, to start a season. You know, I was already, I think, going to 18.
19, right?
I think it was going into 18. I think you couldn't. I think you had to. It was something crazy. Whereas we tried to appeal, you had to be turning 18 at a certain amount of time. I was turning it too early, so they wouldn't let me play. It was also, in my opinion, some hating going on, some people,
Yeah, that's what goes on. So you transfer where?
I went to New Hampshire. At that time, that's when prep schools was just getting going. Not just the MCIs, but other prep schools, you know, in them New England states. And so I wound up going to New Hampton Prep School, which I really needed before I went to Michigan, because to understand how to be around a certain crowd, talk, you know, and kind of interact with that type of crowd really helped me when I went to Michigan. Yeah.
So who's on your team? Who's on your team up there?
We had some good guys, not necessarily anyone who made a lot of noise.
Okay.
In the year after me, Rashard McCants came. And so people remember that name, but he came right after me. But since then, they've had a lot of guys come through there who was pretty decent.
So your recruitment. So now you're a senior. You came back. You played in Capital Classic. You was MVP of the Capital Classic, if I remember correctly. So now your recruitment starts. So walk us through who is like your top 5 and how did you end up in Michigan?
So I actually committed to go to the University of Michigan my sophomore year. That was always my dream school. And so when Brian Ellaby started recruiting me, I let him know I was there. I already loved Fab Five. That was my dream school. When they recruited me, I didn't want to go nowhere else. I didn't go on no visits. You know, I had everybody. I had a lot of people recruit me. Everybody outside of Duke. Duke was the other school I wanted to recruit me, but they didn't recruit me. But Georgetown, Maryland, North Carolina, all of them was recruiting me sophomore year, going into my junior. But I already knew, and I already had told Brian Ellaby that I wanted to go to Michigan. So
Brian Ellaby, a DC guy, man.
Yeah,
From this.
Cool guy. That's my man.
So you get to Michigan, and now you're. Well, what did your freshman year look like, and just walk through like your college career?
Freshman year was my best year by far, scoring wise. It was I never forget the first game we ever played. Kurt Smith was playing on the Nike. He played on. It was a preseason.
Oh yeah, they should do them travel teams. Yeah.
Yeah, and he came down. I gave him 30. I thought I was going to.
Where Kurt duty on though?
Oh, Kurt was cooking. He was cooking. He was cooking. Kurt probably had 32. He was cooking. Yeah, but it was just cool because I never got a chance to play up against him ever. He only was coaching me. I never seen him in that light. And to see him playing and getting a chance to play up against him, that is the thing I remember about me playing. That's one of the things I remember about playing at Michigan. But I thought that's who I was going to be. I thought I was going to be a scorer at Michigan. And it didn't turn out that way. I wound up having an excellent freshman year. We didn't make it to the tournament, though. Got eliminated by Penn State, which was pretty good that year. But, today, to today's standards, I could have left out that year. I was on Dick Vitale's top 15 sophomores coming back in, everything. And I obviously didn't think that I was ready. And so I came back to school. Sophomore year was pretty bad for me. They did a coaching change. Tommy Amica came, which ended up being the best thing in the world for me. But my sophomore year was a tough year for me, on the court, off the court. And we had just got the postseason ban because of Chris Webber and that situation that happened. So people thought that I was going to transfer this, that, and the other. But like I said, I always wanted to go to Michigan. I did not want to go nowhere else. And so that nobody else realized that, but that was how I felt and thought. I wanted to get that degree, and I wanted to, play that sport there. Junior year came, I really started finding myself defensively. My junior year is when we really hit the ground running as a team, and I started getting recognized defensively more than offensively. And it really changed my game, and that's all credit to Tommy Amaker. And then senior year, we had an excellent year. That was our first year qualifying to be able to go to NCAA tournament. We didn't make it with 22 wins though, but it was packed. The Big Ten that year was deep. But we went ahead and won the what do you call it? The
NIT.
The NIT. We wound up winning the NIT championship. So I got the chance to say I was one of the few people to finish my career with a win.
And that's crazy because so that was 2004, right?
Yeah.
So you was on 2004, and then I think Trey Kelly won in 2006, 2007
Yep.
South Carolina from Dunbar. So that's crazy. So while you was at Michigan and signed us into the ABL before we get to the NBA, who was you guys' rivalries? Because we debate this a lot in the office. So a lot of people think Ohio State, but that was more so football, right? So I'm guessing you guys' rivalry was actually Michigan State.
It was Michigan State. And, I would say probably Illinois. But you got to remember, at that time, it wasn't no rivalry. Illinois was top 5 in the country. Darren Williams, they had them win boys, D. Brown, Augustine.
Luther
Head. So they had that group. In Michigan State, obviously, Marcus Taylor, Kelvin Torbert, Chris Hill, Allen Anderson. My first year there, I played against Big Zach, Mateen, all of them. Jason Richardson. What's the lefty? Morris Peterson. So
Hmm.
they always had better teams than us. My 4 years there, our best chance of beating them was my senior year, and we beat them once. They beat us once. So,
So what was it like just getting like hype for that game? Like, was that the one you was always ready for? Like, I'm.
yeah, I was one of them guys that always went into one of them zones. I always was ready to play. I was one of them guys didn't like to talk a lot. Got pretty mean on, just develop a specific attitude on that court. So I felt like I was always ready, and held other people responsible for being ready as well. I was that guy. But Michigan State definitely, it's Michigan State. It's going to be on ESPN or some national televised game, and so you're ready to go.
So you're done with Michigan now, and your stat line was impressive, man. We had kind of talked about it before, but you talking about 1,500 points, 600 rebounds, 250 assists, over 150 steals. Like, you really did it on all facets of the court, and people don't understand, like, on the highest level of college basketball, with the ups and downs, with a coaching change, like, that's really a tough feat. Um, so where do you see yourself in terms of like just the Michigan, when there's some legends that went there, like, where do you see yourself just in that,
I'm
how much work
I'm
you put in?
I'm definitely not, in that top 10 group or 15 group, but I definitely believe I'm, in my opinion, the best all around player to have ever played at that school. To tell you the
Yeah,
truth,
the stats don't lie.
it just we just didn't necessarily have the wins to go along with it. So I
Right, bro.
understand how
Right, bro.
important that is, but I feel like I'm right there when it comes to an all around game to come through that school, and I also lasted 4 years. So yeah.
Yeah, that's a tough thing. So now you're the 45th pick in the draft to the Charlotte Bobcats. So, how many workouts did you do, and what was like? I'm not sure who your agent was. Like, what was that like? Like, just going through the workouts, the sweat of seeing if you're gonna get drafted. Like, what was that like?
Yeah, so I probably worked out for every last NBA team. When you
Wow, wow.
when you teeter first round, the second round, or undrafted, you work out with them all. It's the guys who are in
Hmm.
that top 15 who don't really work out that much, or do individual private workouts. So I got a chance to work out for most teams. I had a great summer. That probably got me drafted. My workouts, getting a chance to play up, defend most of the guys. I remember Josh Smith. They was super heavily on him, and the workout was Atlanta. And rest in peace. What's my guy from Big Three?
Hmm.
Forgot his name. My man, lefty as well, but he died. He got shot and killed. He was there, and you remember Stoudemire, who played at Arizona. That workout, I
Yeah.
remember that one. That and the Boston Celtics workout really, I think, gave me the opportunity to get drafted. It was just because of who I was going up against and defending, and it was grueling though, man. Joe Bell was my agent.
Joe Bell. Yeah.
Yeah, Joe Bell was my agent, but it was grueling. It was grueling. It's tough, man. It's really tough, and it's mentally, obviously, nerve wracking and tough as well.
So you're drafted by the Bobcats now. I want to kind of go here with it. So Michael Jordan was on the ownership group at that time, right? So Michael Jordan drafts you. Then you go in the league. Kobe's in his prime. LeBron's coming into his prime. Like you're Allen Iverson still
Oh
scoring
yeah,
points. Carmelo Anthony, Dwayne Wade.
oh yeah,
So when you're discussing basketball, you're discussing it from I was on the court with these guys with that assignment.
and
So
exactly.
talk about like when you hear guys with their chatter about stuff, you've been on the court. Like, what was it like being saying, "Hey, I got to go guard LeBron today. I got to go guard Kobe today." What was that? What was that experience?
Especially, I come from understanding it from, I took scouting them serious. That was my only job. That was how I was going to get to the next contract. So I took my part of the job extremely serious, defending. And so when I'm put in the game to guard these people. And so from that context, understanding everything that they like to do on the court, and to still see them get to their spots, be a specific type of way, have a specific type of IQ, understand the game. It's not really about the basketball skills. It's about understanding that game. That's why I always come from. That's how I speak and talk. And people don't understand that speed. People don't understand how low Dwayne Wade plays on that court. They don't understand it. They won't get it. Or how fast LeBron James was on that court at 6'8", 260. People just won't understand that. And then to see him be able to slow up, outthink you. And, I consider myself somebody who understands the game. So to see that from a kid who's 19, or Kobe Bryant, obviously. Kobe Bryant, I always say, is a shot maker. And I say that because I played up against him. He's one of them guys that it really ain't about him, tricking you with his game. It's really about when he elevates, he's most likely going to make the shot. And it can be in your face. It could be however way you do it. He's a shot maker. You know what I'm saying? Which is different than somebody like LeBron James, who I wouldn't say is a shot maker, but understood how to impact a game. For me, that's what separates that. Because unlike other people who are shot makers, Kevin Durant, somebody else I can think of, a guy who understands how to elevate themselves without being that person and still get other people into the game, still understand the game, call out your plays, is obviously.
So I want to go there. Mm-hmm. So one thing I've always heard is that LeBron calls out plays of the other team. Like, he knows what the other team is going to do. So, like, what is it like being on the court with somebody like that?
Super into it. You mean, and then for somebody playing up against him, we looking at everything he does. So for him to be so into the game against Charlie, remember, I'm playing for the Bobcats and seeing this. Yeah. And so for him to be so into the game, studying every last aspect, he does mental things like, what's up, Bernard? I'm like, I don't know you, but he gonna make sure he say that to you. What's up, Bernard? Like I know who you are. Like, it's the small things that he does to help you understand. Oh no, I know everything about this court. Like, and like I said, that's who he is. Now, everybody always want to talk about, athletic 6'8", 260, and I just shake my head like, you don't understand who he is as a player. And so that's where I can't quite relay over a screen or arguing with somebody. It's just, I say what I say and then I keep it moving, because you don't understand how they will manipulate your mind on that court, playing against 25,000 people. You see what I'm saying? You got that energy coming your way. It's different.
So, now so your career, you was in Charlotte for 4 years, was it?
No, I was in Charlotte for 2.5 years, and then I got traded. During my third year, I got traded.
To
New Jersey now, Brooklyn, New Jersey. Yeah.
And you went overseas?
Then I tore my second year with New Jersey. I tore my MCL. So that's where Jermaine Jones got me, tore my MCL. And then...
Oh, did you see? He was on the show a couple weeks ago. I don't know if you
that's my guy, Jermaine, though. That's my man, but that's my guy, though. But
I'm going to ask him, I'm going to text him about that.
JJ, no, man, got me. JJ got me. But, and then he went to Italy. As soon as he did. But no, that's my man. That's my guy. We played together at Charlotte. Him and I.
Oh, that's true. That's right. Yeah. No, he's a great guy. Yeah. So I got to do this, man, before we go. So, DC basketball. Now, did you play a lot of Kenner or?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if you went down to Farms.
I played one time at the Farm.
Down the Farm.
Yeah, one time.
So who are your top 5 out of DC? Street ball, pro ball, whatever. Who's your top 5 when you think of DC basketball?
Man, that's always so tough for me. But I gotta say DJ. For me, I played with DJ, and so DeMar Johnson. Let me just go.
DeMar Johnson. Yeah.
So I played with him, so I saw the small intricacies of who this guy was. Whatever these kids who are that now, that's who he was back then. A true point guard at 6'9", did amazing things on the court in practice, etc. So I'm always gonna put him in there. I got a chance to see Kurt Smith. You know what I'm saying? So I got it. I've always been impressed with him. Sheik Pearson. I'm not going to lie. Sheik is
bad
I don't care what nobody say. Sheik was the guy. Let me tell you a story about Sheik. He played with us on AAU2 with DC Assault as well. When you can get him, when you can find him around 14th Street, he'll come. But Sheik won't practice. We'll come pick him up, go to a game. It don't matter who that nasty ranked player is. He giving them 40. Ask anybody. 40, not 30, not 20, 40. And then then he might not play with us for a couple of games. So Sheik Pearson, Another two in the DC area. I mean, I gotta go with my man Keith Bogans. I'm just going by who I saw.
That's fine.
Keith Bogans, who, and I got it. I saw KD, Kevin Durant, when he
Kevin
was
Durant.
and I got a chance to sneak in that gym to
Just
watch
get
him, and I got
just get ready for the feedback on Facebook once we post this part. So that's gonna go. So what do you have going on, man? Outside of basketball, what do you have going on? Anything we can support you with? Definitely let us know.
Yeah, I do. I'm a strategic consultant. I do that for a living. I help basketball players or anyone really as they transition out. I help them get going. I make sure whatever they're trying to do, I make sure it's more efficient. I make sure it's sustainable. I help them make sure that they can, change careers and be comfortable in that space from whatever it takes, whether it's a crisis situation or just needing help. When it comes to strategizing a game plan, et cetera, et cetera. That's what we do at my management group. So that's pretty much all I do every day. I work with nonprofits, for-profits, artisans, which is the painter, the artist, et cetera, et cetera. I have obviously some clients that are retired, NBA players, et cetera, who I mostly deal with when it comes to crisis. And I have some guys who are, still playing college basketball, who I'm linked with and helping. So I enjoy what I do. I'm all about helping and finding routes for people to be successful. That's kind of who I am. A business developer, relationship broker for these guys.
No, that's great stuff, man. And hopefully we can eventually partner with what we're doing at ABL and make it work, man. But I appreciate having you, man.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you.
And appreciate you talking with us, and for the audience, appreciate you. This will be on Apple Podcasts and it will be on YouTube
Okay.
as well as Facebook. Again, I have ABL, myself, owner Kareem Rush, Jake Jackson, also the owner, and then Inspire Films, my brother Ethan, going to produce this product. We appreciate having you, man.
Appreciate it, man.
We'll wrap it up. We'll be back in that session. We thank you, guys.
Appreciate it, bro. I appreciate the opportunity.
All right,
Thank you.
always. Thank you, man.
All right, bro.